Hey everybody, Mr. The Fanboy here, back for another video, and this time this is my long awaited. I've been trying to do this video for, believe it or not, for a year now. This is my long awaited remix, redo of my several reasons why TNA is better than WWE. If you look on my channel from 2015, you can find a narration review. But this is my several reasons in a webcam review why TNA Wrestling TNA Wrestling is way better. Impact Wrestling is way better than WWE in 2016 and 17. The title says 2017, but I'm going to talk a little bit about 2016 since 2016 is when I was supposed to do the video but never got around to doing it. TNA is so much better than WWE. Whenever I try to watch WWE, not even for free, I always turn the stream off in either out of anger or sheer boredom. Sheer boredom. The Royal Rumble 2017, one of the worst shows of all time, and the Raw and SmackDowns after that were terrible. The Raw and SmackDowns were okay, but like I said before, people, when it comes to WWE, no, I don't do okay. You have to be the best you can be, man, and you have to be the best you can be. I don't deal with movies, games, or cartoons or anything, so I'm not doing it with WWE. And it was boring. There was some good stuff, but it was just straight up boring. It was just straight up boring. It was just straight up boring. And I turned the stream off out of sheer boredom and anger, man. And anger, man. How can a wrestling show like WWE be so damn garbage? Garbage. TNA, when I turned on TNA Open Fight Night, man, I caught a little bit of it. See, I always catch the last. See, I always go with my grandmother on Thursdays. Go with my uncle or mother to take my grandmother home on Thursdays. So I miss the first hour, usually the first hour, first several minutes of Impact Wrestling. You can only catch the last part, but I always watch that part and then um go to the website I go to rewatch the parts I missed the entire show. And watching that show was phenomenal, from the opening bell with the Hardy Boys, with the Hardy Boys on the mic, to the opening match between Bobby Lashley and Hardy from beginning to end. Such a phenomenal show from start to finish, versus WWE, which is a chore to watch. There would be like one or a couple of good things out of a show of crap, a show of sheer boredom. Boredom. So number one, that's the number one reason TNA is better. Much better shows. And number two already, when TNA has a big show, they deliver. They usually deliver. They've had some sneakers too, but they usually deliver. Which brings me to number three. WWE waits till seasons like WrestleMania season, SummerSlam season, and Survivor Series season to make wrestling good, to make their shows good, or wait till their garbage NXT takeover specials to make their shows good. TNA Wrestling tries, Impact Wrestling makes every show good. They make every show feel like WrestleMania. They don't wait till they get around WrestleMania season. Then when you get around to these seasons, some of the times it's still disappointing and not what you expected. It's not what you expected. Two pay-per-views that come to mind from TNA, case in point, Slammiversary 2016 and Bound for Glory 2016. Neither one of these shows were at a big venue. Were at a big venue for their pay-per-view event. Where they, due to money problems, they were forced to be held in the Impact Zone, and they were still way better than WWE's biggest and best shows of that year. Then you had Final Deletion, what most people consider to be the greatest show of all time, man. The greatest show of all time, Final Deletion, man. Final deletion. A lot of people consider to be the greatest show of all time. Um final deletion. Which brings my next point. Speaking of final deletion, TNA. Way better storylines and feuds. Way more interesting storylines and feuds than anything in WWE. WWE, the only thing I can think of that is remotely interesting is Chris Jericho and his various feuds with characters like Roman Reigns in the list, and in the list Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens and their feud with Roman Reigns in the list, and AJ Styles on SmackDown. I can't believe I'm saying it. AJ Styles wrestling wise was better in TNA, New Japan, Mexico, and the Independence wrestling wise, but he's actually more entertaining in WWE. When I look back at AJ Styles' career, I've always loved him for his wrestling and his really cool costume and outfit. But this guy has never been entertaining. He is in previous promotion. He's a blander version of CM Punk, Daniel Bryan, professional wrestlers Jerry Lynn, RVD, and Sean Waltman. He's a boring and bland version of those guys. Bland version of that. He's actually more entertaining. I like this face that runs the place persona that he has on SmackDown. So he's actually more entertaining in WWE than he's been in previous promotions. But he's him, Ziggler and him and Ziggler pretty much probably the only things I actually like about SmackDown. SmackDown's even more boring than Raw. They have more star power now, but they're still just a boring blues show and a shell of what SmackDown used to be when you go back to the Attitude and Ruthless Aggression eras. A shell of what SmackDown should be, and I think they have even worse ratings and viewership. I think they're in the 0 point somethings now, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but SmackDown is just boring. Heath Slater and Rhino are barely there when they're facing lame wrestlers like the Vaudevillains and America's Alpha, or whatever that garbage is called, and Dolph Ziggler, a guy who was really over with the face, who was really over as a face. They turned him heel for no apparent reason, and his heel turn is not going anywhere. He's still in the mid card. Yeah, he's still where he always was. So what's the point of turning him heel? But as much as I love Ziggler, everything that happens to him, in my opinion, is his fault for not leaving WWE when he said he was going to. When he said he was for not leaving WWE, when he said he was going to. This is what I'm saying. This guy still believes he's going to get a main event push. He's going to be in the mid card for life. But that's the reason I don't watch Shelton Benjamin, who I was really looking forward to. Due to his injury, will not be back. Another reason not to watch. Next is TNA pushes young and exciting. TNA pushes young and exciting wrestlers like. TNA pushes young, exciting, and very different wrestlers like Drew Galloway, Moose, Mike Bennett, EC3, Rockstar Spud, Aaron Drax, Baron Dax, Meraki Seal, The Tribunal, Grotto, Mahabali Shira, DJ Z, Robbie E and Jesse Goddard, and many more, while WWE continuously buries its young talent and features part-timers, which is not a total bad thing, but it just shows you how much that product sucks, and how they're nothing. They are nothing without their nostalgia acts. They are nothing without wrestlers like Brock Lesnar, Goldberg, and many more. They're even thinking about a John Cena, Randy Orton WrestleMania match, and they recently had a match on SmackDown. So yeah, without their nostalgia acts, they are nothing. They are nothing. Next, TNA has a roster of pro. TNA is a roster of pro wrestlers, whereas WWE is a roster of jobbers. WWE is a roster of jobbers. Seriously, it's I was watching a guy who did several reasons why WCW 2000 was better than WWE, and I agree with just about everything he said in that video. And one of the funnier things he said was WCW had, even though I don't care much for this, WCW had a consistent tag team division, a cruiserweight division, a mid card, and finally a main event division. WWE has a main event division which mostly features part timers and top guys like Randy Orton and them, and a bunch of jobbers, and a bunch of jobbers, and a bunch of jobbers. So yeah. Yeah, TNA has more wrestlers. Next, TNA has better characters. You got Rockstar Spud. You got EC3, Eli Drake, the bromance, Aaron Drax, Sandow's liverface character. Um, um, what else? Moose, Drew Galloway, Bobby Lashley, the Wolves, the Brother Nero and Broken Matt Hardy, the Decay, um, Trevor Lee and Andrew Everett. Even I can't stand the little guy with Hornswoggle. Is better here in TNA than he was in WWE. Um, 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 so the Dead Crew Council, so way better gimmicks, and also another one, way better tag teams. Even though I don't care much for that, is characters in wrestling. For me, next, way more faster pace and exciting wrestling action. The January 12th edition of Impact Wrestling this year, every match from beginning to end, starting with the Bobby Lashley EC3 Last Man Standing match, was match of the year candidate. So just when I say New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 11 already has a match of the year candidate, TNA shows what they can do by putting on that phenomenal episode of Impact Wrestling and this most recent Open Fight Night edition of Impact Wrestling. So much exciting wrestling, better promos, way better storylines and feuds. If I haven't said that already, I can't remember if I said that or not. While having a smaller arena, Impact Zone way better than Raw. While Raw does have a bigger, more atmospheric arena, Impact Zone way better. Imagine TNA how they look even better when they go to much bigger cities, which I hope that happens again. Hope that happens again. Um, um, so, yeah, what else? Next is, like I said before, last but not least, Impact Wrestling is not a chore to watch. Like I said with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I can't wait to watch the next Impact Wrestling show. For a while, it was some of the only wrestling I was watch. And like I said, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling is probably the best of all time, but Impact Wrestling is the best wrestling on television. New Japan Pro Wrestling and all these other promotions aren't nationally televised. Aren't nationally televised. And it's not a chore to watch TNA. I can't wait to watch TNA. Last but not least, TNA has way better storylines, way better wrestling, and more consistency in everything. They only have one show. They only have one show, a couple of one night only pay per views, which are way better than these one night only pay per views. I gotta watch and review some of them soon. But people, these one night only pay per views be way better than WWE's big shows. WWE's big shows. These one night only pay per views. So one night only pay per views and two big pay per views doesn't feel like overexposure. Doesn't feel like overexposure. And like I said, way better wrestling, way better storylines, and everything, despite only having one show. WWE has about what, 6 to 7 shows, and not one of them is good. Next, TNA has better theme music. TNA has better theme music. Apart from a lot of the part-time themes and wrestlers like Dolph Ziggler and The Miz's theme performed by the awesome band Downstate. Downstate. TNA has better. TNA has way better music, like Rockstar Spud's theme, EC3's theme, Cody, who probably has the best theme of all, Moose's theme, Drew Galloway and his various themes, the Bromance theme, Grotto's theme. Like I said, so many awesome themes. So many awesome things. Even Robert Roode, his his glorious theme sucks to me. His entrance was awesome, but that glorious crap sucks. Off the Chain was way better. So yeah, and last but not least, TNA is old school wrestling, which is how I like it, not some lame wannabe pop culture, mainstream Hollywood style wrestling, which is what WWE is trying to be. Like I said, TNA wrestling is way better than WWE. This was an update to my 2015 several reasons TNA was better. Sorry, TNA was better than WWE. All right, people, I'm done.